Hey loves, welcome. I'm Greta and I help girls and women learn about and connect with their periods and menstrual cycles. I help them to step into their truest selves and learn how to take care of the deeper parts of themselves. So if that's something that you want to, then subscribe and stick around. Okay, so let's talk about how to stop painful period cramps. Stopping your period cramps long term can be done through 4 natural and highly effective steps. But if you're currently doubled over in pain, let's go through some options for you to get some immediate relief. So you can get some immediate relief through heat therapy. So that's like putting a heating pad on your low belly or on your low back, or taking a warm bath, adding some Epsom salts in there so you can get some magnesium absorbed through your skin. You can drink teas like raspberry leaf tea, tighten and tone the uterus. So they're really helpful with period cramps. And then there's lots of stretches and movements that you can do that at least release some of the tension and tightness that is associated with period cramps, and can kind of also just like put you in positions where like the pain is just not quite as bad. And then there is the option of taking ibuprofen or other like pain reliever medications. But I do think it's important to be aware that there are side effects to taking these types of medications, especially if you're taking them for a prolonged period of time or every single menstrual cycle. It's not a great long-term solution, but when you're actively in pain, you gotta do what you gotta do. So these can be some really helpful in the moment period cramp relief options, but the 4 steps that I'm about to share with you are going to help you get that long-lasting relief and will stop those painful period cramps from happening in the first place. So let's get into these long-term relief options. They're really, really helpful because they focus on healing the deeper causes of your period pain. So that usually comes down to balancing hormones, lowering prostaglandin levels, and lowering stress and inflammation in your body. Okay, so we're going to get through these fast. Let's start with just taking a little look at prostaglandins. So period cramps are caused by contractions in your uterus. And these contractions are helping your uterine lining to shed, and they're caused by a hormone-like compound called prostaglandins. And the key here is that when these levels of prostaglandins are too high, they can cause painful period cramps. You can think of them as like going on overdrive because you need a level of prostaglandins. You need them to initiate that action of contracting your uterus to shed your uterine lining. But when there's too many, things are going a little crazy, and that's where you feel that pain like emanating out. Okay, so lowering your levels of your prostaglandins is going to be a very helpful, powerful way to treat your period pain. And just a little side note, this is also why ibuprofen can be so helpful in treating period cramps. It's because it works to block prostaglandins. But again, it has its side effects. It's not a great long-term solution, and there's a lot of ways that are really healing to your body that lowers prostaglandin levels. So let's just look at this next little piece because there's something very closely linked to your potentially high levels of prostaglandins causing your period pain. You have to kind of ask the question then, why are my levels of prostaglandins high in the first place? So this is where that hormone imbalance comes into play. High prostaglandin levels can be caused by an imbalance between 2 hormones in your body, progesterone and estrogen. Specifically, an excessively low level of the hormone progesterone and then too much of the hormone estrogen. Let's now take this understanding of this high level of prostaglandins and its underlying cause likely being an imbalance in between progesterone and estrogen, and then we'll also just work in this idea that a lot of pain is caused by inflammation in our body. Inflammation puts our body in a state of stress, both of which cause pain, physical pain in our body. All of these things are connected, okay? High prostaglandin levels, hormonal imbalance between hormones, and then stress and inflammation. And all of these things are interwoven together and have the same treatment, the same solution. Okay, so let's go through these steps now. The first step to healing period pain is food. Food fuels us, food gives us the nutrients that make our whole cycles able to function. Food has such a big impact on our health, as we know. So eating balanced meals with vegetables and protein and healthy fats and complex carbohydrates and fruits will greatly benefit the balance of your hormones, which then impacts the levels of your prostaglandins, and all of which has an impact on your general levels of inflammation and stress in your body. So think specifically foods like cruciferous vegetables, so that's like broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and cabbage and arugula and bok choy, and then fats from avocados and ghee and grass-fed butter and avocado oil and olive oil and nuts and seeds, and fish and animal protein that's organic and grass-fed, plant protein from beans and lentils and mung dal and tempeh, complex carbohydrates from sweet potatoes and oats and whole wheat, brown rice, and then fruits like berries and pears and apples and citrus fruits. So all of these foods are really supportive to your body. Of course, diet is a complex subject unto itself, but just kind of considering these foods and working them into your diet, into what you're already eating, and really keeping that mindset of like, what do I want to add to my diet instead of like a restrictive mindset of what I'm taking away, I think is really helpful. So just add some good foods in. Okay, number 2 is supplementation. I feel like supplementation for some reason is like more exciting. Maybe it's because it's just kind of easier and less intimidating than diet changes. But supplementation can be very helpful. And there's actually many supplements that have been proven to lower prostaglandin levels and also support your hormones and support your body overall with that stress and inflammation. So that's going to be supplements like cinnamon, vitamin D3, magnesium, omega-3s like in cod liver oil, kelp and seaweed, a B complex, turmeric, and zinc. You do not need to take all of these supplements. I would actually encourage you to not take all of these supplements all at once. What I would encourage you to do is to just look into them and see like what kind of sounds good to you, do your own research on them, and then pick one of them and try them out. And just remember that supplementation needs to be consistent in order for it to make an impact on your health. And of course, if you're on any medications or you have certain health conditions, talk to a doctor before you start supplementing. Okay, number 3 is exercise. I feel like exercise is also kind of a somewhat exciting one. I don't know. It probably depends on the person. As we all know, moving your body is an integral aspect to your health. Regular exercise can actually help to decrease excess circulating estrogen levels, which is really important because remember, these high levels of prostaglandins can be linked to this imbalance between estrogen and progesterone, and estrogen specifically being too high. So if we can get rid of some of this excess circulating estrogen, it's going to be a great benefit to you. And not to mention, when you exercise, your body releases hormones called endorphins, which you've probably heard about in health class. And these endorphins have pain-relieving effects. And exercise also increases blood flow and reduces tension in the body. And exercise is hugely important in the 4th and final step to healing your period cramps, lowering stress. So you might think of stress as purely an emotional event, but it has such far-reaching effects on your physical health. Chronic stress raises your cortisol levels, which throws your levels of estrogen and progesterone out of whack. Stress also creates tension and inflammation in your body. But again, a wholesome diet, proper supplementation, exercise, as well as supportive relationships and outlets for your creative expression and emotions, and good quality sleep. And creating low stress, low stimulating environments when you have your period, you will find is very helpful in keeping your pain levels from being raised by external stresses on your period days. And this is your reminder that these habits are not just something that you do when you have your period. They're something that you do all the time. You're always in a part of your menstrual cycle, and your hormones are always working for different parts of your menstrual cycle, and it's all connected. Your period experience is a reflection of so many aspects of your health. So these habits surrounding diet and supplementation and exercise and stress reduction, these habits are not just something that you take on when you have your period. They're habits that you work with every day. It's with consistency that these things will make a big difference in your period experience and in your levels of period pain. Now, if you're really working with all of these different things, you're really trying to support yourself in all of these different ways, but it's just not quite working, you're still in a lot of pain when you have your period or you're in pain through your menstrual cycle, then I would encourage you to get checked for any underlying conditions, because then you can work to treat those underlying conditions and work that into your plan of how you care for yourself, because then you'll be able to take a more targeted approach to healing your period cramps. Regardless, these habits can just be super supportive to your health overall. When period pain comes up, it's a good time to reevaluate things, reevaluate your lifestyle, the food you eat, the level of stress you're under, the amount you're exercising, the quality of your sleep, and also your connection to yourself and to others. So all of these things have a big impact on your health, and all of them then also have a big impact on your menstrual cycle and on your period. I want you to know that your experience of period pain is absolutely valid. I come across so many different stories of people who have been in such horrible period pain for so many years, and nobody seems to really help them or work with them to find any true deep level of healing. So I want to empower you to advocate for yourself, and I want to empower you to know too that you are your own greatest healer and you know yourself best. And there are so many different things that are under your control that you can work with to create healing in your body. So don't overlook these seemingly mundane, simple things, because they have the greatest reaching effects on your body, on your health, on your menstrual cycle, on your period, on your pain, on your inflammation, on everything. So feel empowered to work with some of these things, even if it's just a couple of them. Just give things a try and work with them and work with this kind of mindset. So I hope that this helps to give you some direction on where to start healing your period cramps, your period pain, and I hope it also gives you a little bit of an understanding of what might be at play as to why you're in pain in the first place. Ever wondered why women get periods, or what a period feels like, or how to know when your period will come each month? Subscribe to Dear Love for answers to all your powerful questions. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it valuable, and that is all for now, loves.